Ladies and gentlemen, life doesn't always feel like a mountaintop moment. There are seasons when the light seems dim, when everything feels heavy, and we find ourselves walking through the valley. It's in these valleys, those moments of heartbreak, betrayal, failure, or fear, that we are tested the most. But let me remind you, the valley is not where your story ends. It's where your strength is born. Today, I want to talk about finding strength in your trials, because the valley is not a sign of weakness. It's proof that you're still moving forward. Number 1. The valley teaches you what the mountain never could. There's something sacred about the valley that the mountaintop will never teach you. While the mountaintop is where you celebrate, the valley is where you are shaped. It's easy to feel victorious when life is going your way, when everything falls into place, and when success is loud. But true strength, true character, and true growth don't happen when you're winning. They happen in the shadows, in the silence, and in the solitude of life's valleys. The valley strips away the comforts we often rely on. It exposes the illusions we cling to, the need for control, the dependence on approval, the constant chasing of perfection. In the valley, there are no shortcuts. There's no applause. There are no filters or distractions. It's just you, face to face with your fears, your doubts, your regrets, and your dreams. And that confrontation, as painful as it might be, is where transformation begins. When you walk through hard times, you start to see what you're really made of. You realize that your worth isn't tied to titles, your peace isn't dependent on outcomes, and your courage doesn't require permission. The valley pushes you beyond your limits. It tests your endurance, your patience, your heart. It's in those moments of uncertainty and discomfort that your inner strength starts to rise. Not all at once, but quietly, steadily, like a seed breaking through the soil in search of the sun. The truth is, the mountain might offer perspective, but the valley gives you depth. On the mountain, you might see how far you've come, but in the valley, you understand why the journey matters. The valley demands presence. It demands honesty. It forces you to question what you believe, who you are, and what you truly want. You start to notice the small things, the quiet moments, the kindness of strangers, the simple victories. Gratitude begins to take root not because everything is perfect, but because you've learned to appreciate the fight it took just to stand. One of the most powerful things the valley teaches you is that survival isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Getting through the day when everything hurts is a form of bravery that no one sees. Holding on to hope when everything feels broken is the kind of strength that can't be measured. You don't need to be loud to be powerful. You don't need to have it all together to be worthy of healing. The valley shows you that vulnerability isn't the opposite of strength. It's the foundation of it. It's also in the valley where empathy is born. When you suffer, you begin to see others more clearly. You recognize pain in their eyes, even when they smile. You understand the quiet battles people fight. You listen differently. You love more deeply. The valley humbles you, not in a way that makes you feel small, but in a way that makes you more human. And when you finally begin to rise, you carry with you not just your own lessons, but the wisdom to lift others too. The valley also reminds you that progress isn't always visible. Healing, growth, strength. These things happen in layers, sometimes underground, like roots forming before a tree breaks through the earth. Just because you can't see change doesn't mean it's not happening. The valley requires faith, not just in a higher power or a better tomorrow, but in yourself. You learn to trust that your pain has purpose. You begin to believe that even in your lowest moments, you are becoming something more. And perhaps the most beautiful lesson the valley teaches is this: your circumstances do not define you. Your choices do. You may not have chosen the heartbreak, the betrayal, the loss, or the setback, but you can choose to rise. You can choose to keep moving, even if it's slow. You can choose to believe that your story doesn't end here. The valley doesn't mean defeat. It means refinement. It means awakening. It means becoming. When you finally make it to the next mountaintop, you won't be the same person who entered the valley. You'll be stronger, wiser, more grounded. You'll carry with you a kind of resilience that no one can take from you. And the best part is, you'll know it wasn't the success that made you powerful. It was the struggle. It was the moments no one saw. The nights you cried but kept going. The days you doubted everything but showed up anyway. The valley taught you what the mountain never could. It taught you how to fight, how to feel, how to hope, and most of all, it taught you who you are when everything else is stripped away. And that person, the one who didn't give up, is your greatest strength of all. Number 2, every trial carries a hidden lesson. Every trial we face in life carries within it a hidden lesson, one that often reveals itself only in hindsight. At the moment, it may feel like nothing more than pain, confusion, or chaos. We wonder why it's happening, why we must suffer, or why life has taken such an unexpected turn. But hidden beneath the struggle is a message, a truth, a seed of growth waiting to be uncovered. The difficulty is not in the absence of meaning, but in the patience and willingness to look deeper and allow the lesson to emerge. Trials test more than our circumstances. They test our mindset, our faith, our character, and our resilience. When everything feels uncertain or broken, we are forced to confront parts of ourselves that we might otherwise ignore. Pain has a way of bringing things to the surface, our fears, our insecurities, and even our hidden strengths. That's where the lesson lives, not in the situation itself, but in who we become because of it. Sometimes the lesson is in learning to let go. We hold on so tightly to what we think we need, people, plans, jobs, timelines, only to find that their removal brings unexpected freedom. A door closes, and in that moment it feels like a loss. But in time, we realize it made space for something more aligned. The trial taught us that not everything that feels good is meant for us, and not everything that ends is a failure. It taught us surrender. Other times, the lesson is in trust, not just trusting others, but trusting ourselves. When life throws us into situations where we feel lost, we're forced to rely on our own inner compass. We begin to realize that our intuition is stronger than we thought. We learn to make decisions in the dark, to listen to that quiet voice within, and to keep moving even when the path isn't clear. Through that process, we build confidence. We stop waiting for certainty and start creating it from within. There are also trials that teach us boundaries. They come wrapped in difficult relationships, painful endings, or betrayal. And though they hurt, they leave behind wisdom. We learn what we will and will not tolerate. We learn that love should not require us to abandon ourselves. We learn that protecting our peace is not selfish, it's necessary. The trial becomes a mirror showing us where we've allowed too much, stayed too long, or believed too little in our worth. And from that reflection, a new version of us begins to rise. Some lessons are humbling. Trials can remind us that we are not invincible, that life doesn't always go as planned, and that we don't have all the answers. But humility doesn't weaken us, it grounds us. It teaches compassion. It helps us become more patient with others, more forgiving, more present. When we've walked through something hard, we stop judging others so quickly. We begin to see people not by their perfection, but by their perseverance. We recognize the battles others may be fighting silently because we've fought our own. And then there are trials that teach us gratitude. It's strange how adversity can make us more thankful. When we go through seasons of loss, we begin to treasure what remains. When our health is compromised, we value every breath. When our finances are tight, we become more intentional with what we have. The struggle sharpens our focus. It reminds us of what truly matters, and often it reveals that the simple things are the most sacred. Peace, connection, laughter, presence. Sometimes the lesson is simply endurance. Not everything needs to be understood to be valuable. There are times when the most powerful thing we can learn is that we can survive, that we can keep moving even when it hurts, that we can hold on to hope, even when everything around us feels hopeless. Trials teach us that strength is not found in pretending we're okay, but in continuing to show up anyway. The beauty of these hidden lessons is that they never leave us. Long after the pain has faded, the wisdom remains. We carry it into the next chapter of our lives, more equipped, more aware, and more resilient. It becomes a part of our foundation, And while we may not wish to relive those hard moments, we often come to a place where we're grateful for what they gave us. Not because the pain was good, but because the growth was real. So the next time you find yourself in the middle of a trial, pause, breathe. Know that you are not being punished. You are being prepared. Somewhere inside this moment, there is a lesson that will shape your future, strengthen your spirit, and shift your path in powerful ways. Don't rush it. Don't resist it. Trust that in time, the purpose will become clear. Every trial carries a hidden lesson, and when you're ready to receive it, that lesson will become one of your greatest gifts. Number 3. Strength isn't loud. Sometimes it's just showing up. Strength is often portrayed as something bold, fierce, and unshakable, loud enough to be seen, heard, and admired. We tend to associate it with grand gestures, public victories, and powerful moments that grab attention. But the truth is, strength isn't always loud. Sometimes strength is quiet. Sometimes it's invisible. Sometimes it's just showing up, even when everything inside you wants to disappear. It's getting out of bed when your heart is heavy. It's facing the day when you're exhausted in every way, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. It's continuing to move forward, one small step at a time, even when the finish line is nowhere in sight. There's incredible power in simply not giving up. The world may not notice the days you kept going despite the chaos in your mind. No one may see the tears you wiped away before walking into a room with a smile. They may not understand how much effort it took to answer a phone call, attend a meeting, or make a meal. But those moments matter. They are the quiet victories, the private acts of courage that reveal more about your inner strength than any applause-worthy moment ever could. We live in a world that often glorifies hustle, resilience that looks glamorous, and achievements that are easy to celebrate. But real resilience doesn't always look like that. Sometimes it's messy, sometimes it's slow, and sometimes it's silent. It's choosing to breathe deeply and keep going, even with fear in your chest. It's choosing to believe in the possibility of hope, even when you've been disappointed before. It's showing up for life, not perfectly, not with everything figured out, but with presence, with effort, and with heart. There are days when strength means holding everything together for your family, your children, your loved ones, even when you feel like you're falling apart inside. There are moments when strength means staying calm in the middle of chaos, when you'd rather run or scream or give up. It's in those moments, when you remain, when you stay, when you hold on, that true strength reveals itself. No spotlight, no loud announcement, just you quietly fighting your way through. And it's important to recognize that strength doesn't always mean having the answers or being the strongest person in the room. Sometimes strength is allowing yourself to feel, to cry, to admit that you're struggling. Vulnerability takes courage. Asking for help takes courage. Letting others in, even when your instinct is to retreat and isolate, is an act of strength, because it's not weakness to need support. It's human. And allowing yourself to be seen in your brokenness is one of the bravest things you can do. Strength also lives in the consistency of showing up for yourself. It's in the little habits you maintain when no one's watching. Choosing to nourish your body, speak kindly to yourself, or push through a workout, a job interview, or a therapy session. These are the building blocks of quiet strength. And while they may not gain recognition, they shape the foundation of who you are becoming. There are seasons in life when everything feels uncertain, when grief clouds your clarity, when anxiety takes over your thoughts, when disappointment weighs heavy on your chest. In those seasons, strength might not look like conquering the world. It might look like surviving the day. And that is enough. That is more than enough. You don't need to always be climbing, producing, or performing to be powerful. Sometimes, just staying in the fight is a testament to your spirit. Showing up is strength because it requires choice. It's the decision to participate in life despite the pain, to engage with the world despite the risk, and to believe in a future even when your past has given you every reason not to. It's a statement, I'm still here. And that statement, repeated day after day, builds a resilience that is unshakable. not because you haven't been broken, but because you learned how to rebuild yourself over and over again. And as you keep showing up, something begins to shift. The days feel less heavy, the cracks start to close, the voice inside that once whispered doubt begins to whisper hope. You begin to trust yourself again, not because everything is fixed or perfect, but because you've proven to yourself that you can endure, that you can keep choosing life even when it's hard, that you are strong, not in the loud, dramatic way we often imagine, but in the quiet, steady, persistent way that truly lasts. So if all you did today was show up, you have already done more than enough. If you're still trying, still caring, still hoping, still healing, know that that is strength in its purest form. You don't need to shout to be strong. You don't need to conquer the world to prove your worth. Just keep showing up, quietly, bravely, one step at a time. That is what real strength looks like. Number 4. You are not alone in the valley. When you're walking through a valley, a season of loss, heartbreak, confusion, or uncertainty, it can feel like the loneliest place in the world. The silence can be deafening, the nights unbearably long, and the weight of everything you're carrying can make it seem like no one could possibly understand. Pain has a way of isolating us. It convinces us that we are the only ones struggling, that everyone else is doing just fine, and that somehow we've been left behind. But the truth is, you are not alone in the valley. There are people around you who have walked through valleys of their own, even if their pain looked different. People who have tasted loss, who have known fear, who have cried into their pillows at night and prayed for the strength to get through the next day. You may not see their scars, but they are there. And while they may seem strong now, steady now, they too have had seasons when they felt broken, abandoned, or unsure. Knowing that others have walked through dark places and come out the other side reminds us that we're not as isolated as our pain tries to convince us we are. Sometimes the valley feels lonely because we struggle to reach out. We don't want to burden others, or we fear they won't understand. We might even be ashamed of our emotions, believing we should be stronger, more put together, more in control. But vulnerability is not weakness. It's a bridge. When we open up, even just a little, we make space for connection. We give others permission to be honest too. And in that shared space, healing begins. You may discover that someone you thought had it all together is also walking through a valley. You may find comfort in the presence of someone who has been exactly where you are. It's also easy to believe that if no one is physically with us in our pain, we're truly alone. But presence isn't always about proximity. Sometimes, comfort comes through a message from a friend just when you need it. Sometimes it's found in a story that echoes your own struggle, a stranger's kindness, or a song that brings you to tears because it puts into words exactly what you're feeling. These small moments are reminders that the universe is responding to your pain, that even when you feel unseen, you are being held in ways you may not fully recognize yet. There's also strength in community, even when you don't feel like you have one. Community isn't always found in a large group of people or lifelong friendships. Sometimes it's found in just one person who listens, who sits with you in your sadness without trying to fix it, who says, "I'm here," and means it. Don't underestimate the power of being witnessed. You don't need someone to rescue you. You just need someone to walk beside you, to remind you that you matter, and that your presence in this world is valuable, even when you can't see it for yourself. And while people can be a great source of comfort, there is also a deeper, more spiritual presence that walks with you in the valley. Whether you name it as faith, divine energy, the universe, or simply the resilience inside you that refuses to quit. That quiet strength, that inner voice that says, "Keep going," even when you have no reason to, is proof that you are never truly alone. Something greater than your pain is holding you together, even when it feels like you're falling apart. You are not alone in your fears. You are not the only one who feels lost, uncertain, or afraid of the future. Others have sat in that same confusion. Others have asked the same questions, cried the same tears, and doubted their ability to keep going. You are not weak for feeling what you feel. You are not broken because you're struggling. You are human. and your experience, as painful as it may be, connects you to the deepest parts of what it means to live and to feel. The valley may be quiet, but it is not empty. Others have walked its path, others are walking it now, and others will follow. And just as those who came before you made it through, so will you. The pain won't last forever. The darkness will lift, and one day you'll look back on this time not only as something you survived, but as something that transformed you. And when that day comes, you might become someone else's reminder. You'll be the voice that says, "I've been there too." The presence that helps someone else feel a little less alone, because that's the beauty of pain. It connects us, it humbles us, it softens us so we can hold space for others. So even if the valley feels long, even if your heart feels heavy, hold on. You are not walking it alone. There is more love around you than you realize, more strength within you than you believe, and more light ahead than you can see right now. Keep going. Someone is walking with you. Even if it's quietly, even if it's invisibly, you are not alone. You never were. Number 5, the valley is temporary, but who you become there is forever. The valley, with all its pain, uncertainty, and darkness, may feel endless when you're walking through it. Every day can feel like a repeat of the last, an uphill battle with no visible finish line. It's hard to imagine a way out when everything feels so heavy. But the valley is not forever. No storm lasts indefinitely. No night goes on without giving way to morning. The valley is temporary, and though it may not seem like it now, there will come a time when you'll rise from it stronger than ever before. But while the valley itself is fleeting, the person you become in it, that transformation, is something that stays with you for the rest of your life. Pain changes you, it sharpens you, it reveals layers of yourself you never knew existed. In the valley, you're forced to look inward. You're stripped of the distractions and comforts that once made life easy, and suddenly, you're face to face with your raw, unfiltered self. It's not easy, and it's rarely pretty. But it's real, and in that realness, you begin to rebuild. Not with shallow strength or surface-level smiles, but with depth, with grit, with unshakable wisdom that only hardship can teach. The truth is, the hardest times are often our greatest teachers. While you may be walking through heartache, loss, confusion, or failure, you're also learning. Learning how to endure, how to trust, how to stand when your knees are shaking. You learn patience, not because you want to, but because you have no choice. You learn resilience not because it's easy, but because it becomes your only path forward. You learn empathy because you now understand what it's like to suffer in silence, to question everything, to wake up and try again even when nothing makes sense. What the valley takes from you on the surface, it returns tenfold beneath the surface. Yes, you may lose your sense of direction. You may lose relationships. You may lose your old sense of self. But in that loss, something deeper is being formed. A wiser, more grounded version of you is taking shape. Someone who has been through the fire and still chooses love. Someone who knows what it means to fall apart and still find the strength to rebuild. And when you finally come out on the other side, and you'll look back not only with relief but with respect. Respect for the person you were who kept going when quitting felt easier. Respect for the way you faced your pain instead of running from it. Respect for how you softened, how you opened, how you grew in ways that only the valley could have prepared you for. The beauty of this transformation is that no one can take it from you. The strength you gained by surviving what was meant to break you becomes part of your DNA. The compassion you discovered for yourself and others becomes your language. The perspective you earned, the ability to appreciate the little things, to see beauty even in the struggle, becomes a lens through which you view life forever. This new version of you doesn't need everything to be perfect to find peace. You don't require applause or validation to feel proud. You carry a quiet confidence, not because life suddenly got easy, but because you now know your own power. You've lived through the valley, and that makes you unshakable, not untouched by pain, but deeply rooted by it. And perhaps the most powerful part of this is how your journey can now become someone else's light. When you speak, you'll speak with empathy, with authority, with authenticity. Your story won't just be about pain. It will be about healing, about courage, about what it means to rise. Others walking through their own valleys will see in you a reminder that survival is possible. That thriving after pain is real, that broken things can still bloom. You didn't choose the valley, no one ever does, but you chose to walk through it, and that choice changed you forever. The fear, the tears, the sleepless nights, the questions, all of it shaped you into someone who understands the depth of strength, someone who no longer fears the dark because they've learned how to carry their own light. So if you're still in the valley, hold on. Remind yourself daily that it will not last. Keep showing up. Keep breathing. Keep trusting that this chapter is part of something much greater than what you can see right now. One day, you'll stand on higher ground, look back, and realize that while the valley didn't last forever, what it gave you did. And that is where the true beauty lies, not in the avoidance of pain, but in who you became because of it. So, if you're walking through the valley right now, lift your head. You are not broken. You are being built. You are not lost. You are being led. Keep walking. Keep believing. The valley is shaping you into a warrior. And on the other side, you'll realize that your trials didn't break you. They revealed the strength that was within you all along. God bless you.